Captain Jake Morrison walked slowly to the front of the huge meeting hall. His boots made soft sounds on the metal floor. Around him, thousands of alien beings sat in their seats, watching him with many different kinds of eyes. Some had 4 eyes, some had no eyes at all. The hall was so big that his voice would need the speaking system to reach everyone. Jake had been coming to these meetings for 15 years. He was tired of it all. Behind him, 50 other humans sat together in their small section. They looked angry and sad at the same time. Ambassador Lisa Carter held her tablet tight in her hands. She had been writing notes all day about what the aliens had said. None of it was good news for humans. Commander Nick Bradley sat with his arms crossed. He was in charge of human military matters for the Council. He had watched the aliens vote against humans so many times that he stopped counting. Dr. Rachel Stone sat next to him. She was the smartest human scientist on the Council. She had seen aliens steal human ideas and then say humans were too stupid. To understand science. Today had been the worst day yet. The Council had voted on Trade Route 7 Alpha. This was a space highway that connected 17 human colonies to the big galactic market. Humans needed this route to sell their food and buy things they could not make. For 3 years in a row, the Zephyrian Empire and their friends had said no to human ships using this route. The Zephyrians always said the same thing. They claimed human ships were dirty and would spread diseases to other worlds. Everyone knew this was not true. Human ships were cleaner than most alien ships. The real reason was simple. Humans were becoming too successful. They were making better things than the older alien races. The aliens did not like this. The vote had just finished. Jake looked at the big screen that showed the numbers. 847 aliens had voted against humans. Only 23 had voted for humans. 156. Aliens did not vote at all. This meant humans could not use the trade route. 17 human colonies would have trouble getting food and medicine. Jake had seen this happen before. Every time humans asked for something, the aliens said no. When humans invented new machines, aliens would steal the plans through research sharing programs. Then they would say humans could not own the ideas because humans were too new to the galaxy. For 47 years, humans had been part of this council. They had given their knowledge freely. They had sent human soldiers to fight in alien wars. They had shared their medical discoveries that saved millions of alien lives. They had built better computers and faster spaceships and given the designs away for free. But the aliens still treated humans like children who needed to be controlled. Every human proposal was voted down. Every human trade request was denied. Every human colony that asked for protection was ignored. Jake reached the speaking circle in the center of the hall. He pressed the button that turned on the voice system. Now everyone in the hall could hear him clearly. The hall became very quiet. Even the aliens who normally made noise stopped talking. "Honored delegates," Jake said. His voice was calm, but everyone could hear he was angry underneath. Humanity has served on this council for 47 years. We have given our resources, our knowledge, and our blood to keep peace in the galaxy. Many aliens shifted in their seats. Some looked uncomfortable. Others looked bored, like they had heard this before. Jake continued. We have watched you vote against our proposals, not because they were bad ideas, but because you do not like humans. We have seen you block our trade routes, threaten our colonies, and treat our people like they do not matter in a galaxy we helped build. The Zephyrian delegates started to stand up, probably to argue, but Jake held up his hand. Today's vote on Trade Route 7 Alpha was not about keeping diseases away from your worlds. It was about fear. You are afraid that humanity will not stay in the small corner you want us to live in. Ambassador Carter stood up from her seat. Then Commander Bradley stood up. then Dr. Stone. One by one, every human in the hall stood up. They all walked toward Jake in the speaking circle. "We have served this council faithfully," Jake said, looking directly at the Zephyrian Empress on her golden throne. "But we will not serve as your slaves. The human delegation quits the Galactic Council. We are leaving right now." The hall exploded with noise. Aliens were shouting in dozens of different languages. Some were angry. Some sounded scared. The Koradi delegate was screaming something about treaties and laws. The Altarian ambassador was trying to speak over the noise, but the humans were not listening anymore. They walked out of the hall in perfect order. Jake led them, his head held high. Behind him, Lisa carried the human flag. Nick made sure all. The human security guards left with them. Rachel gathered up all the human research files. As they walked toward the exit, some aliens tried to stop them. A Vraxian official grabbed Jake's arm. "You cannot just leave," he said in broken human language. "Who will fix our machines? Who will grow food on the dead worlds?" Jake pulled his arm free. "You should have thought about that before you treated us like enemies." The humans walked through the long hallways of the council building. Their footsteps echoed off the walls. Behind them, the noise from the meeting hall grew louder. The aliens were fighting among themselves, blaming each other for what had happened. In the hangar bay, the human ships were already waiting. The pilots had been watching the vote on their screens. They knew what was coming. As soon as they saw the human delegation walking toward them, they started the engines. Jake stopped at the door of his ship and looked back at the council building one last time. For 47 years, humans had tried to be good members of this galactic community. They had followed the rules, paid their taxes, and helped their neighbors. But their neighbors had never seen them as equals. "Captain," Lisa said softly, "the other ships are ready." Jake nodded and stepped into his ship. As the doors closed behind him, he could see alien officials running out of the building. Some were waving their arms, trying to get the humans to stop. Others were talking frantically into their communication devices. It was too late. The humans were done talking. They were done begging for fair treatment. They were done being the galaxy's servants. The human ships lifted off from the landing platform and flew toward the edge of the system. Behind them, the Galactic Council faced its first day without humans in nearly 50 years. They would soon learn how much they had depended on the species they had treated so poorly. 3 days had passed since the humans left the council building. In the communications center of Nexus Prohim, Zephyrian controller Vexthara stared at her screens with growing worry. Red warning lights were flashing across dozens of star systems. The humans had not just left their seats in the meeting hall. They had pulled every human worker from every galactic job. The first problem hit the Outer Rim colonies hard. On 7 different worlds, the Taldorian food-growing centers stopped working completely. The aliens who ran these places were standing around looking confused. They did not know how to fix the soil or make plants grow on dead planets. For 20 years, human agricultural specialists had been teaching aliens how to grow food on worlds that had no good dirt. The humans had created special chemicals and methods that could turn rock and sand into rich soil. But the aliens had never learned how to do it themselves. They had always just watched the humans work and taken the food when it was ready. Now the food machines were breaking down. The soil treatment centers were shutting off one by one. The Taldorian officials were sending desperate messages to anyone who would listen. "We need the humans back," they said. "Our people will starve without them." Captain Danny Rodriguez had been commanding the human transport fleet that brought medical supplies to refugee camps in the neutral zone. These camps were full of aliens who had lost their homes in various wars. For 5 years, Danny had been flying dangerous missions to bring medicine and doctors to these sick and injured aliens. When the call came to bring all humans home, Danny gave the order with a cold smile. "Pack everything up," he told his crew. "We are going home right now." His ships were loaded with antibiotics, surgery equipment, and artificial organs that the aliens desperately needed. The Karathi officials who controlled the refugee camps had always complained about human medical aid. They said humans brought too little medicine and charged too much money. They had denied human requests to build permanent hospitals or send more doctors. Now these same officials were begging Danny not to leave. "You cannot take the medical supplies," a Karathi administrator said over the radio. "We have a treaty that says you must provide aid." Danny laughed. "Check that treaty again. It says we provide aid as members of the council. We are not members anymore." Meanwhile, on the industrial world of Mechanicus VII, something much worse was happening. The fusion reactors that powered 3 entire city sectors were starting to fail. Warning alarms were going off in the power plants. The Vraxian engineers who worked there were running around in panic. These reactors had been built using human designs. More importantly, they used human safety systems that prevented the reactors from exploding. Dr. Amy Chun had spent 2 years designing these safety protocols. She had tried to teach the Vraxian engineers how they worked, but they had always said human technology was too simple for their advanced minds. Dr. Chun was on a transport ship heading back to human space. The Vraxian engineers were frantically trying to call her, but her communication device was turned off. Without her knowledge, the reactors would either shut down completely or melt down and destroy half the planet. Engineer Voxdal stood in the main control room, watching the temperature readings climb higher and higher. "Where are the human technical manuals?" he shouted at his assistants. "The humans took them all when they left," came the reply. They said the manuals were human property. In the galactic trade hub of Centris Station, Merchant Captain Tony Walsh was watching his crew load the last human cargo ship. Around them, alien dock workers were realizing that the humans were taking more than just their people. They were taking their ships, their cargo handling equipment, and their trade route knowledge. For 30 years, human ships had been the backbone of interstellar shipping. Human vessels were faster than anything the older alien species had built. Human pilots knew the safest routes through dangerous space. Human captains had been carrying alien goods from one world to another, making everyone rich in the process. Now those ships were flying away, leaving empty docking bays behind them. The aliens had their own ships, but they were slow and old. Many alien trade companies had sold their old vessels years ago because human ships were so much better. Station Commander Kieldos watched from his office window as the last human freighter pulled away from the docking platform. His communication system was already receiving angry calls from alien merchants who had been expecting cargo deliveries. "Where are shipments of Altarian crystals?" demanded a Vraxian trader. "The human ship that was supposed to carry them." "Just left," Kieldos replied. "All human shipping contracts are canceled. Then get another ship. There are no other ships available." The humans were carrying 80% of all cargo in this sector. Ambassador Carter stood on the bridge of the human diplomatic ship USS Liberty. Through the large window, she could see Nexus Prime getting smaller as they flew away. Her communication console was making noise constantly. Incoming messages were arriving every few seconds from desperate alien officials. The Altarian delegation wanted to make separate trade deals. The Sector Council of Mining Worlds was offering huge payments for human technical support. The Taldorian colonies were promising to give humans special privileges if they would just come back, even the proud. Zephyrian Empire was quietly sending messages asking about keeping cultural exchange programs running. The same empire that had voted against humans on every major issue was now begging for human students and teachers to stay. Carter read each message and then deleted it without answering. She had spent 15 years trying to negotiate fair treatment for humans in the galactic community. She had written hundreds of proposals and attended thousands of meetings. The aliens had ignored her every time. "Ambassador," her assistant said, "the Korathi are offering to give humans full voting rights on Trade Route 7 Alpha." "Too late," Carter replied. "They should have offered that 3 days ago." The assistant looked at another message. "The Vraxian. Council says they will share their advanced technology with humans if we send technical specialists back to Mechanicus 7. Carter almost laughed. "Their advanced technology? We built half their machines for them." On the planet Kepler 186b, Dr. Lisa Freeman had been running the Disease Prevention Center for the Galactic Health Organization. She had been working on a cure for the Korathi Plague, a disease that killed aliens but did not affect humans. Her research was just starting to show promising results. When the withdrawal order came, Dr. Freeman packed up all her research files and destroyed the laboratory samples. The local Korathi officials tried to stop her, saying the research belonged to the galactic community. This research was done by human scientists using human equipment in a laboratory paid for by human taxes, Dr. Freeman told them as she walked to her transport ship. "If you want it, you can start over and do it yourselves." As the human ships flew away from alien space, they left behind a galaxy that was just beginning to understand what it had lost. For 50 years, humans had been quietly keeping galactic civilization running. They had fixed machines, grown food, carried cargo, healed the sick, and maintained the peace. The aliens had never noticed because they had always assumed humans were just following orders. They never realized that humans were the ones who made everything work. Now they would learn the hard way what happened when you drove away. The people who actually knew how to get things done. 6 weeks had passed since the humans left. The Galactic Council building felt empty and cold. Speaker Threndal of the Altarian Republic stood at the main podium, calling the emergency meeting to order. His voice shook as he spoke. Around him, less than half the usual number of delegates had shown up. Many species were too busy dealing with disasters at home to attend meetings. The reports coming in from across the galaxy were terrible. General Kexmore of the Korathi military stood before the remaining delegates. His once proud uniform looked wrinkled and dirty. The mighty Korathi war machine was falling apart without human maintenance crews. 12 of our outer rim territories had declared independence, General Kexmore admitted. His voice was quiet with shame. Our enforcement fleets cannot reach them. Half our warships are broken down and cannot be repaired. For 20 years, human technicians had been keeping Korathi military ships running. The Korathi had always claimed their technology was superior to human designs. But their engineers did not actually know how to fix their own machines. They had been letting humans do all the real work while taking credit for the results. Now Korathi ships were floating dead in space. Their weapon systems were offline. Their life support was failing. Entire fleets had to turn back from missions because their engines stopped working halfway to their destinations. "We need immediate technical assistance," General Kexmore said. To the Council, "Our military cannot function without human expertise." The Zephyrian Empire was having even worse problems. Empress Zarathil appeared as a hologram in the council chamber. She normally looked proud and powerful. Now she looked scared and desperate. Her beautiful golden throne room was dark behind her. Even the palace was having power problems. "Our subject species are rebelling across 17 sectors," the Empress announced. "They have learned that human communication networks are far superior to ours. Without human technicians to maintain our surveillance systems, we cannot monitor what our subjects are doing." For decades, the Zephyrian Empire had controlled hundreds of smaller species by watching their every move. Hidden cameras and listening devices were everywhere in Zephyrian space. But all this spy equipment had been installed and maintained by human technical teams. The humans had built the surveillance network so well that even they did not realize how much the Zephyrians depended on it. Now that the humans were gone, the spy cameras were going dark one by one. Rebellious species were organizing in secret. Some were already attacking Zephyrian outposts. Entire sectors are going dark, Empress Zarathol continued. We cannot communicate with our regional governors. We do not know which worlds are still loyal and which have joined the rebellion. Trade Controller Ben Parker had been the human in charge of shipping regulations for 20 years. Without him, the interstellar commerce system was breaking down completely. Species were making their own trade deals and ignoring galactic shipping laws. Some were even fighting small wars over trade routes. A standardized currency system was also failing. Humans had been managing the galactic credit exchange for 30 years. They had prevented inflation and made sure all species could trade fairly with each other. Now different regions were creating their own money systems. Some alien currencies were becoming worthless overnight. Merchant ships were being attacked by pirates more often. The unified shipping schedules had collapsed. Cargo was piling up on some worlds, while other worlds ran out of basic supplies. Food prices were going up every day on planets that could not grow their own crops, Dr. Lisa Freeman had been running disease prevention for the entire galaxy. Without her knowledge and the Human Medical Research Network, a plague outbreak on. The mining world of Kepler 438b was spreading to other planets. The Vraxian medical teams sent to stop it were using old methods that did not work. The plague had started small. Only a few dozen miners got sick at first. But Dr. Freeman would have immediately recognized the symptoms and known how to treat them. The Vraxian doctors had never seen this disease before. They tried treatments that actually made the plague worse. Now the disease was on 12 different worlds. Millions of aliens were getting sick. The Vraxian Medical Council was begging other species for help, but nobody knew what to do. Only humans had the research and experience needed to stop this kind of outbreak. Captain Mike Sullivan had been commanding the Joint Defense Fleet that protected the core worlds from pirates and raiders. His human ships had been the most effective peacekeepers in the galaxy. With the human fleet gone, alien pirates were becoming bolder every day. The remaining alien defense ships were discovering just how much they had depended on human tactics and ship designs. Most alien military commanders had been following human battle plans for so long that they forgot how to think for themselves. When pirates attacked, the alien ships were confused and disorganized. Pirate fleets were taking over entire star systems. They were capturing merchant ships and enslaving whole populations. The alien military forces that tried to stop them were beaten badly in almost every battle. The Taldorian delegate stood up to address what was left of the council. His people were facing starvation because their food production systems had completely failed. We must contact the humans immediately, he said. His voice was full of panic. We will offer them whatever they want. Full council membership, expanded territory, technology sharing agreements, anything they demand. But Controller Vexthara from the Zephyrian Empire shook her head. You do not understand. We have tried to contact them. They are not answering any of our messages. Our intelligence reports say they have created a barrier around their space. Any non-human ships that try to enter are turned away without explanation. The terrible truth was becoming clear to everyone in the chamber. The humans had not left because they were angry about one bad vote. They had made a careful decision that galactic civilization was broken beyond repair. They had concluded that the other species would never treat them fairly. Some delegates were still trying to blame others for the crisis. The Altarians said it was the Zephyrians' fault for being too proud. The Korathi blamed the Vraxians for stealing human technology. The Vraxians said the Taldorians had been too dependent on human agriculture. But Speaker Threndel silenced them all. "It does not matter whose fault it is," he said. "What matters is that we treated our most valuable allies like enemies. We voted against them, stole from them, and insulted them for 50 years. Now they are gone, and our civilization is collapsing." The meeting ended without any solutions. The delegates returned to their ships to fly back to their dying worlds. Behind them, the great council chamber sat empty and dark. For the first time in over 1,000 years, there was no galactic government. The age of alien dominance was over. The humans had walked away, and they had taken the future with them. 8 months had passed since the humans walked out of the Galactic Council. In the secure meeting room aboard the human flagship USS Independence, Admiral Kate Lewis looked at intelligence reports from across known space. The information painted a picture that was both terrible and strangely satisfying. The Galactic Council had officially ended 3 months ago when the Zephyrian Empire withdrew after losing most of their territory to rebellions. The proud empire that had ruled hundreds of worlds for centuries now controlled only their home system. The Karathi were fighting a civil war on 3 fronts as their former colonies declared independence one by one. The once mighty trade networks had broken into dozens of small competing groups. Each group was struggling to maintain basic shipping between stars without human logistics knowledge. Many alien species were running out of food and medicine because they could not figure out how to transport supplies efficiently. Captain Steve Morrison, Jake's younger brother, had just returned from a spy mission to the former council space. He stood before the assembled human leadership with a grim expression. "It is worse than we thought," he reported. "The neutral zone refugee camps have been completely abandoned. The agricultural worlds are buying food at 10 times the normal cost. And pirate fleets are basically running free in half the outer systems." The room was filled with the most important humans in their part of the galaxy. These were the people who now made decisions for all of humanity. They had watched alien civilization collapse from a safe distance, and now they had to decide what to do about it. Dr. Helen Garcia had replaced Dr. Stone as the chief science advisor. She brought up holographic displays showing human territory expansion. The images showed green zones spreading across the star map. "Meanwhile, our colonies are doing better than ever," she said with pride. "The new settlements in the Epsilon sector are exceeding all population and production targets. Without having to pay taxes to support alien governments or share their technology for free, humans were advancing faster than ever before. Human colonies were building new cities, developing better technology, and growing their populations rapidly. Human space was becoming a beacon of prosperity in a galaxy falling apart." Dr. Garcia continued, "Without having to subsidize galactic infrastructure or support alien bureaucracy, we are making progress at an incredible rate. Our newest ships are twice as fast as anything we built while we were council members." But not everyone in the human leadership was comfortable with staying isolated. Colonel Ryan Thompson was head of military intelligence. He had been reading reports about alien suffering for months. "We are receiving thousands of requests for help every day," he said. "Entire species are facing extinction because their life support systems are failing without our technical support." The moral weight of the situation was heavy. Billions of aliens were dying because their civilizations could not function without human knowledge. Children were starving on worlds that had once been rich and prosperous. Diseases were spreading unchecked through populations that had no idea how to treat them. Admiral Lewis nodded seriously. "I know, Ryan. The question is whether we help them on our terms or continue to let galactic civilization collapse under its own problems." Some humans argued that the aliens deserved what was happening to them. They had voted against humans for 50 years. They had stolen human ideas and then denied humans credit for their inventions. They had treated humans like second-class citizens while depending on human work to keep their societies running. Ambassador Susan Wright had replaced Carter as chief diplomat. She had been quietly reaching out to individual alien species through secret channels. Some of them are ready to accept human leadership, she reported. The Altarians have formally asked to join a human-led alliance. The Taldorian colonies want to establish direct trade relationships with us. The debate that followed would shape the future of the entire galaxy. Some human leaders wanted to continue isolation and let the aliens solve their own problems. Others wanted conditional re-engagement, but only if humans were in charge. A few people suggested returning to the old system with some reforms. Captain Jake Morrison, who had led the original walkout, was now serving as civilian coordinator for human policy. He listened to all sides before presenting his solution. "We do not go back to the council system," he declared firmly. That system was designed to keep humanity weak while the old power stayed in control. Jake stood up and walked to the star map display. "Instead, we offer something completely different. Individual species and worlds can apply to join the human alliance. But they do so as junior partners, not as equals." The terms Jake outlined were not negotiable. Any species that wanted to join. The human alliance would have to accept human technology standards, human trade rules, human justice systems, and human leadership in all important decisions. They would benefit from human protection and prosperity, but they would never again have the power to vote against human interests. "They treated us like servants for 50 years, Jake continued. "Now they can be our junior partners, or they can continue to collapse on their own." The human leadership voted unanimously to accept Jake's plan. Within 2 weeks, the human alliance was officially established. Within 6 months, 47 different alien species had applied for membership. Most of them were desperate and had no other choice. The membership process was strict. Alien species had to prove they could follow human rules and contribute something valuable to the alliance. They had to give up their own military forces and accept human protection. They had to adopt human currency and human trade practices. In return, they received access to human technology, human medical care, and human expertise. Their people stopped starving. Their machines started working again. Their worlds became safe from pirates and raiders. Within a year, the human alliance controlled more territory and resources than the old Galactic Council ever had. Human ships patrolled space lanes that had once been controlled by alien empires. Human colonies were being built on worlds that had been forbidden to humans for centuries. Some alien species refused to join the alliance. They said it was beneath their dignity to serve under human leadership. Most of these proud species did not survive. Their civilizations collapsed completely, and their people either died or fled to Alliance territory as refugees. Admiral Lewis stood on the observation deck of the Independence, watching human ships escort a convoy of Alliance vessels through space that had once been contested territory. She thought about the lesson the galaxy had learned the hard way. When you treat someone who is essential to your survival as an enemy, you do not eliminate a threat. You create a much bigger one. The humans had walked out of the Galactic Council as frustrated junior members. They had returned as the undisputed masters of the galaxy. The aliens had spent 50 years trying to keep humans in their place. In the end, they had only succeeded in teaching humans that they did not need alien permission to claim their rightful place among the stars.